The Olmecs are considered to be one of the first civilizations of the Americas, rising in 1600 BC and falling by 350 BC. These people are very mysterious. And because of undeciphered glyphs and lack of records, we do not know what they called themselves. But the Aztecs called those who inhabited the lowlands along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, the rubber people. And their land was called Timoanchan. The Olmec heartland is located in southern Veracruz and Tabasco. This is likely where the Olmec culture and state was developed. It is also where most of Olmec art has been discovered. But most Olmec art was found in La Venta, San Lorenzo and Laguna de los Cerros, with La Venta being the Olmec capital. But all three cities were major cities. Archaeologists believe that San Lorenzo was at one point the Olmec capital because 10 colossal heads were found there. And it was later moved to La Venta where 4 heads were found. These heads were depictions of rulers. Early Olmec civilization is believed to have been built upon religious foundations, with a ruler being a mediator between the populace and the gods. This is evident in their art. This type of authority gave rulers great power over the subject. Rulers were also part of an elite class which separated them from the common man. Usually, an individual or group became part of the elite class by becoming rich and creating monopolies in their region. Rulers would then separate themselves further by acting as religious authorities or claiming divine right to the throne. Pharaohs were often seen as mediators between the gods and man, and when they died were believed to become a god. Rulers in the ancient world were often warriors and gained respect by launching successful campaigns and defeating their enemies. Being a respected warrior is another way men could have become rulers. For example, Arminius of Germania. Arminius was the son of a chieftain and was captured by the Romans when he was a boy. He was then trained and Romanized and used his Roman knowledge to defeat Rome in the Teutoburg forest. After this victory he was exalted by the people as a great leader and would have become king, but was assassinated. Also, King David won the hearts of the people by defeating Goliath. But most kings of early civilizations likely possessed all of these traits. They were great warriors, rich and created trade monopolies. Early Olmec diet consisted of fish and domestic dog. And there is even evidence of cannibalism. Perhaps when times were hard or ritualistic tradition. Such as when the Aztecs ate the organs of a sacrificed man. Early Olmecs also grew corn in Middle Coatzacoalcos. And it is believed that the elite took the best lands for themselves. That is the river levees. The abundant country is what allowed the Olmec civilization to prosper and over time achieve statehood. The elite class which ruled had religious, military and judicial power. Matthew Stirling is credited with discovering the Olmec civilization. He also discovered the San Lorenzo site after a report of a stone eye looking up from a trail. After Yale archaeological excavations directed by Michael D. Coe and years of investigations, the site was deemed most important of 3 major sites. This site was settled as early as the 18th century BC, and within 200 years the city became the greatest in Mesoamerica. The city would be ruled by a Tuor king and governed by a Kuor governor. These kings were possibly warrior kings, seeing that the colossal heads depict them with helmets. Altars also depicted Olmec kings with captives of war. The Aztecs also captured their enemies and sacrificed them to their false gods. Although historians do not believe the Olmecs performed human sacrifice. Seeing this relief of captured enemies on an altar, only leads me to believe that they did perform human sacrifice. There is some evidence of this, at a sacrificial site called El Menati, where there are remains of infants and unborn children. This site is 10 miles southeast of San Lorenzo. This site was also where the Olmecs played the ball game which the Mayans and Aztecs would later adopt. Bloodletting was also practiced by the Olmecs, a religious tradition practiced by those in the ancient Near East and other places. This tradition would also be adopted by the Mayans and the Aztecs. The Olmecs also invented the long count calendar. They also harvested cocoa beans and drank what was likely a bitter and spicy hot cocoa. Although the Olmec recipe isn't known, the Mayans mixed cocoa with cornmeal and chili peppers. This drink was considered to be a luxury drink, though all classes were able to drink it. This shows the great influence the Olmecs had on ancient Mesoamerica. By around 1200 BC, San Lorenzo's population began to decline. Causes are unknown, but some have theorized that war, changes in environment and our emergence of rivals may have caused San Lorenzo's decline. But Olmec presence would ultimately move to La Venta, which was the Olmec capital in the Middle Formative period. The city was originally built on an island in the Tonla River. But because of industrialization, the site has been largely destroyed. The major structure in La Venta is the clay pyramid. Structures were colored in flamboyant color. The city was populated by around 18,000 people and thrived in around 900 BC. In this period, the Olmecs had trade routes from the Valley of Mexico to as far as Las Victorias, El Salvador, bringing various things such as obsidian for weapons, feathers, jadeite, and cocoa. The Olmecs likely invaded and conquered less powerful peoples when establishing their trade network, and possible trade stations would be frontiers. These invasions likely happened throughout the 17th to 15th centuries. The city was a great power in Mesoamerica until around 400 to 300 BC, when it was destroyed violently and abandoned. In around this same period, the Mayans began to expand their presence.